That's good. Nobody got the technical difficulties. Love that.
No, we're good now. What's going on,
Pros.
guys? We are ready to rock this morning. It's the Money Talk Show with Dane, where we talk about all sorts of interesting topics having to do with money, primarily real estate and crypto. Here, we've got some absolutely killer content coming at you today. And let me turn off my YouTube so I don't have the echo. There we go. Cool. So pumped to have you guys here. We're happy to help and provide content. We've got a number of our loyal fans in bright and early, so we're pumped to have you. Corey, take it away.
Yeah, Corey Geary here. Just like you said, real estate investor for the last, 6-7 years. Now transitioning really hard into the crypto space. I feel like it's where the next generational wealth will transpire, and I don't want to miss out. And so I'm just trying to rock and roll and bring as many friends along with me as possible and educate them on this beautiful asset class we call crypto. So yeah, super excited today because we got PulseX Dream here, who is a expert, it sounds like, in liquidity providing, BSC chain and Pulse chain. PulseX will kind of be a fork of the Pancake Swap function on BSC. So I'm super excited to have this gentleman here today who's very knowledgeable in that space. We're all going to learn a lot. I'll be taking notes on this call. So
Absolutely. So great to have you, PulseX Dream. Tell us a little bit about you. I'd love to know how you ended up in crypto and all that type of stuff. What's your origin story?
Yeah, so back in what would have been 2021, I was in school in like a residency in a hospital here locally. Not to be a doctor, for paramedicine stuff. And I'd always kind of known about Bitcoin back in like 2009, 2010. I was a big PC gamer. I had a big, powerful computer. And my friends were talking about it. It sounded like a scam to me. And all I knew is I had to leave my computer on 24/7, and it would make it so I couldn't play video games. So I decided not to do anything with it. And wouldn't you know, what a terrible decision. So I've always been interested in kind of following the space a little bit, never too seriously. Probably when Ethereum came out, that was when I first started kind of having my interest peaked again. Again, never got into it. I was pretty poor at the time, just kind of minimum wage jobs back when I was 19, 20, 21 in that time. And then here when I was down at the hospital, kind of stuck living there with nothing in life going on. Other than being married newly, but stuck at a hospital. Started looking into crypto again, and the biggest thing at the time was the good old Shiba Inu. And they were just getting ready to come out with their Shiba Swap. So that was their decentralized exchange. They had a big liquidity event at the beginning of their launch with 10x returns on their native staking coin, which was Bone. So I started messing around with that a bit. Made a good amount of money in the first 2-3 weeks of that being out, maybe 2 months. Yeah, probably up to 2 months. Okay. And then I just started really looking into this whole crypto thing. Very quickly found Richard Hart's YouTube channel. Thought he was a bit weird with the top hats and whatnot, and the candelabra and all that stuff. But he said a lot of things that were, very, very interesting. We've all heard his debates, and you might have wanted to hate him at one point, but you listen to the man speak, and he's a genius. He's so smart. It's undeniable. It really is undeniable.
When was that roughly? When did you find Richard?
So that was at about 11 cent hex. So that'd be March, April, May 2022, just before PulseX or Pulse Chain Sacrifice. Literally days
also,
before Pulse Chain Sacrifice.
On the way up.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Up.
Yep, I was 11 cents on the way up, so I got in heavy. Yeah. But so I listened to on the way driving home, I was able to go home for a day, finally in 3 months. And on the way home, I listened to 4 hours of Richard Hart interviews. I listened to the Peter McCormick, good chunk of the Peter McCormick stuff, and then him talking about this whole sacrifice thing that he was going to have for this thing called Pulse Chain. And went looked it up and saw it was day 6. So we were just out of the kind of the equal multiplier, and we were just starting to go down. What was it, 5% a day or something like that? Yeah, whatever that amount was. So I took everything that I made on Shiba Swap, moved it into Hex, put half of it into the sacrifice, and kept half the coins. which hopefully seems like it'll turn out to be a very, very good decision. But it was a big decision at the time for me.
Right.
And since then, it's been, all RH for the last year and a half. Just learning a lot from him, getting ideas, really following PulseX and the development of Pulse Chain and all that. And, prepping for that stuff.
That's cool, man. Let's. I'd love to talk more about the Shiba swap. So
Yeah.
I shouldn't say everybody. It's commonly talked about in crypto circles that to be early to, especially yield farming opportunities for passive income. It's really important to be early to those pools and to the staking and whatever it is that you're participating in to have the best returns. And so I'd love to talk more about Shiba Swap and specifically what that looked like, what you were doing, what that looked like, and some actionable information that people could use that we could apply a little bit later on, maybe to Pulse Chain, Pancake Swap stuff.
Totally. So with Shiba Swap, the big thing in the first couple of weeks was they had this liquidity event. They called it a liquidity event. And so they took their own token, which was the reward token, basically what's going to be incentive or the incentive token on PulseX. They took that and they gave out for, I think just for their liquidity event, which was 2 weeks, they gave out 10x the return that you would normally have. So basically it was encouraging people, like, yes, you're going to experience some serious and permanent loss during this time, but what we're going to do while this system kind of normalizes is give you 10x the reward token to try to offset that. And it did offset that. It offset impermanent losses by a lot, right? But as time went on, that goes away and impermanent loss really kind of sets in. Now they also had staking options for their coins. You could take, your LP and stake them in a pool, just like you can with, Pancake Swap or PulseX. You can't do that directly through Uniswap, but I'm sure there's third-party websites that allow you to stake if you're doing V3, your NFT on their website for some amount of return. Or lots of times with V2 type liquidity, you actually have a token. It's just hidden. It's like you guys know. You have to go find that contract on Etherscan, add it, and then you can move that coin into a third-party website they'll basically hold on to your LP. It's still coming. The rewards are still coming back to those tokens, right? Because you put them in a pool, and all those pools have, like, let's say, X USDC hex, right? So USDC hex would be the pool, but your ownership of that pool is denoted by the coin of X USDC hex that you own. So the contract keeps track of you owning this amount, and when you go back to pull your X USDC hex or your liquidity from that pool, you'll get the rewards that are allocated to that number of tokens over that time, right? For liquidity providing.
So give an example of like what that looks like in, just give an example, like put some numbers to it, if you will, and it doesn't need to be perfect, but give us an example of numbers to help some of our guys have it sink into all of their things.
In a time like right now, when prices are stable, liquidity providing can be very, very lucrative, right? We kind of fluctuate, like you think about Hex, right? We're fluctuating in this now, 2.4 to 2.7 cent range, right? Yeah. So there's not a lot of upside, there's not a lot of downside, but there's a lot of fluctuation because there's, what is it right now? Probably a couple mil a day going through the USDC hex pair. Mm-hmm. So you'll make a percentage of the fees that go through that pair. Now, if the price is volatile, if we're going up very fast, it gets very risky. I mean, you'll literally get wrecked and left behind, especially in a system like V2, where it's equal parity, right? You have to have the same amount dollar value of each coin on each side. Right. V3 gets very interesting. Now, you still want to be very actively watching your pairs on V3, because if you do, let's say you're providing within the range of 2.5 cent to 2.7 cent, so you have this 2 cent range, or 0.2 of a cent range that you're making money off of. Well, if Hex goes up to 5 cents in 3 hours, right? Let's say we hit the next bull market, or V3 is launched or announced, and Hex just jumps up to the next whatever that stable point's going to be. Let's say Godwell comes back in, throws another 2 mil at it, right? So let's say we jump up to where, let's say we jump up to where now the new normal is going to be 7 cents to 7.5 cents, right? And we're going to fluctuate there for 5 months until Pulse Chain comes out. Well, if you're not there watching your V3 position, you will move out of Hex completely into USDC because everybody came in and bought that position from you. So they gave you their USDC, and you will receive, fees on that amount. So let's say, what is that? I think that's at 0.3. So you'll receive 0.3 interest on that amount of money that you had, which isn't a lot, but when it sits there in that range for 7-10 days, it kind of adds up, right? But you'll be left with a bag of USDC. Let's say you had $25,000 or $2,000 of Hex and USDC at that range, and we've now exploded up to $7. So if you just held on to Hex and you went up 3x, you would have gone from $2K or $2,500 to $6,000 to $9,000 of just Hex. But you got left at $2,200 to $2,700, and that's all you have. And now you just have USDC, so you got to go back and rebuy your position, right? Which is what it's really important to sit there and watch your V3 liquidity.
How do you mitigate that?
Yeah,
because I've done plenty of V3 liquidity providing, and I've gotten left behind both directions.
Yeah, and sometimes it's great, right? Sometimes you hit it on the way down, and you pull it, and you put it back in, and you're up like $500 on both sides or something, right?
It's like, how do I manage that in a way where I can mitigate the permanent and permanent loss, and I'm able to still collect from those fees? And that's the part I've gotten stuck at on my liquidity providing journey. I know how to do it. I've earned some fees doing it, but it seems like every time I get in V3, maybe I get greedy. Because I get in there and I make my range really tight.
Yeah.
Because I want to get as much speed
as
possible.
Gone.
And
you're out. Yeah.
10 grand at it. I want to earn, the massive $150, $200 a day in fees, which it does. But then I get left behind one way or the other. I'm like, I just wrecked myself. And I got to go in there and reset it. Now I've lost $1,500 or $2,000, and I'm only earned $400 in fees, and I'm like, God, it's so that's
or you might need to reactivate your mic. We can hear you. It's just a little bit quiet.
Oh, I backed up. Sorry. Is that better?
No, you're good, Corey.
Corey.
Yeah, Corey Geary.
Let me see if what I can do. Yep.
That's a little better. Maybe you're just a little bit away from it.
We were getting so excited, we slowly backed up.
Right. Yeah, but talk about that. We'd love to know how you're mitigating those things.
Again, it's active, so that is mitigated by like active control of your position, right? You hear Sam, right? The Jim Rat Crypto and Sam Stolt, right? You hear him talk about, he's at his computer, 12 hours a day or 8 hours a day, whatever it is. And he'll have his positions open, watching it like a hawk while he does his internet business at the same time. And that's really liquidity providing. Unless you just have some money in there, it's like, don't care about this. I've got $10 million in this, $5 million in this. And I got $1 million providing liquidity. Whatever. You really need to watch those positions. Because again, if a big price move happens, you're going to be out. Now, if it drops below your range, as it comes back up through that range, it'll again swap you through, right? Correct. And if it stays in that range, it'll kind of play with you in that range, and you'll get the fees while we're in that range. Then we go up, you're out into USDC. We come back in, you got Hex and USDC. We go down, you're back into Hex. And it's finding not just a narrow range. Like, yes, you'll run through your range quickly on a narrow range, and you'll get more fees because you're using 100% of your tokens versus 10% of your tokens in this wide range. But you will go in and out often. So it's finding a range that's like good and manageable for you that you can stay in all the time. No, Jerry, I'm not. and Jerry's one of the locals. So is Tyrannosaurus Hex. So it's good to see those guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow as well. So that's gonna be fun. Managing that range in which you're providing liquidity it's scary, especially if it's like not just a screw around amount of money,
Right.
I suggest everybody that asks me about LP, I say, build up some wealth in a different way. I'm no whale. I don't have millions of dollars in crypto, but it seems like to me, unless you're sitting there managing it like a Sam Stolt can, or if you work from home, like you do have the ability to make some money in different ways, a little safer ways, and when you can afford to, have your play money in there. Have the amount of money that is not a big deal to get left behind on a 5x, because you will get left behind on a 5x if you're not there sitting and it 1.5x and you go, oh f, cancel, split my liquidity, or all back into hex. Let's hold on to that while we go up, and then I'll go back in to provide liquidity again. If you're not there to make that stop happen, you're out.
Right.
So yeah.
Here,
So LP is scary.
It is. It's a lot of management. It's a lot of.
Sorry. Yeah. It's. I wish there was a magic formula to make it not a big deal. But yeah, it's a terrifying subject. You really got to sit there and watch it.
Right.
So.
We've got a number of guys on. Appreciate you jumping in this morning. Tim Top says, "What's up? What's up, Hexicans? Appreciate you being on, Tim Top." We've got Tyrannosaurus Hex from Seattle. We've got some Seattle guys on this morning. That's great. Jerry's on. Jerry wants you to take your shirt off and flex, apparently. So we'll leave that up to your discretion whether or not you want to. We can have an OnlyFans channel. That's what we should do to generate more income for liquidity providing. There you go.
That's genius. It'll cover our fees. Yeah.
That's right. Cool. So liquidity providing, very active. Are you? So let's back up a little bit. So some of these guys that are watching, this is like a very foreign concept. If we just lost you, don't worry about it. Liquidity providing is simply providing the pools in crypto that make it so you can swap between different currencies. If there is no pool to swap between currencies, well, then you can't do anything with the currencies, with the cryptocurrencies that you hold. And so people like PulseStream can come in and say, hey, I want to earn fees. And so I'll provide liquidity. I'll provide 2 tokens in a pool, and it makes it so that he's putting up his crypto that people can choose to swap back and forth between is a very simple summary. And the tricky thing is like he mentioned, you can get left behind. And so on Uniswap, you can set a range where if we use Hex, for instance, between 2.5 and 2.7 cents, and within that range, as long as price stays and fluctuates in that range, you're earning fees. But as soon as price drops out of that range, either to the upside or the downside, you get left behind. You're not earning fees, and you're left holding the bag. And so it's more active, where you have to be paying attention, because if you're not, like PulseX Dream said, you can get left behind. So I'm
here every single time.
Yes.
Which I don't mind. I'm learning how to do it, and it's fun. So that's why I love these conversations, because I want to keep learning how to. So PulseX Stream, if you see it slipping one way or the other, so are you supposed to just cancel the liquidity position and then reset the range again? Like, what do you?
It depends on what you want. Yeah, I mean, it totally depends on what you want, right? Like, are you trying to get out of Hex without any slippage and also earn some fees on the way up, right? Then no. A lot of really smart people that use that as their sells, right? I don't need to, not me, but rich, like whales, God Whale, for instance, or whoever's providing liquidity. I don't need to do a $2 million sale today and drop the price 30% on my head, right? I can set a V3 position at 0.1 cent, 0.001 cent over what it is right now, and every single buy is my sell.
Right.
Yep.
And if it goes up, if someone comes in and buys $500,000 worth of stuff, I'm out 2/3 of my sales done. Or whatever percentage of that little liquidity range that I own, I'm out. And I made 0.3% on top of it. Well, 0.3% on $1 million is
and you didn't hurt the
freaking
price.
Good. And I didn't hurt the price, right? I didn't kill myself. I don't care about others. Really, is crypto. I'm here to make money.
Right.
I'm here to dump on other people. Not me. Again, this is the whales, right? I'm here to dump on other people's heads like I do all the time. This is whale speak, not me. And
last night, did you see
last night? Yeah.
Boom, boom,
right?
boom, boom.
Dude. Oh my god.
I was just like, wow.
Yeah. I was just watching.
Waiting for
oh
it to
my
hit.
god.
I got a little greedy. I was waiting for it to hit 0.15, and then I was going to do a huge market buy. But I was sitting there waiting, and it hit 0.19. I saw it hit there, and then it started bouncing back up. I'm like, oh,
So
I guess I missed
here's another thing that you can do right now. You can go into V3. You can set single side liquidity. All that means is setting your range at like 0.18 cents. All you'll have to do, all you got to do is put in USDC, and when it goes down to 0.18 cents, it's going to start hitting your order. Now, if it goes down to 0.17 cents, you're going to be out, right? You have all the hex that you need. But if we immediately go back up to 2 cents, you're going to be right back into USDC. So you got to be there, ready to pull, right?
I wish there was a feature, and I've heard of people talking about creating this, and maybe you can elaborate on this, where you can set it inside the protocol where it would close out your position automatically. Why
limit orders
like that? And
Uniswap's dumb.
What's that?
Uniswap's dumb. So yes, they came out with V3, which is the coolest thing for liquidity providers. You go to 1inch, you go to probably Pancake Swap, you go to probably any other like mainstream DEX, they have limit orders. You can't do that on Uniswap. The way to do that on Uniswap is to set your single side liquidity. That's a limit order and a limit sell on Uniswap.
And then manage it.
PulseX has limit orders. It's already taken care of, right? When we launch, it's already taken care of. It's there. It's ready to go. But yeah, you can't do it on Uniswap, unfortunately. You have to be there to pull your liquidity.
So is that what the limit order will be then? It will be like basically you set it, and then basically it's going to take your liquidity and then set it for you. Is that how it's going to work?
So I don't know, but traditionally limit orders do not work as a liquidity position, right? So you're not in the liquidity pool. You're not going to earn fees on your buys or your ability to hand over your USDC for people that are selling, because you are the person coming to the table with the USDC trying to buy. So you're going to hit the liquidity pool, right? But how many people are trying to hit the liquidity pool at the same time? If you do the single side, you are guaranteed to run that range that you set as soon as it hits that range.
As soon as you hit it, yep.
Yeah. Now, if you set a liquidity position, a limit buy, right? Let's say you set a limit buy at 1.5 cents, and I have a limit buy at 1.6 cents, right? My limit buy is gonna go through, and if I suck up all those sells before it goes to 1.5 cents, you're out, right? Same thing. There's things like Matcha, right? Matcha.xyz. That prioritizes, from the people I've talked to, it sounds like it prioritizes the bigger buys and sells before it comes down to. So if you have a $5,000 one and I got a $50,000 one, I'm going to get run through before you get run through.
Yeah, I recommend to everybody, if you're not putting at least 5 on a limit order for Matcha, don't even bother using it. Like I've used it for very large orders, like you said, 20, 50. It works in those areas. If you're like trying to get $1,000 limit order. $1,000 limit order is not going to get hit, especially on a wick. If it stays down there, maybe.
Yes,
but not on a wick. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
So here's a question that we've talked to a lot of people about liquidity providing, Sam included, is have you been able to consistently, or maybe you're not using it this way, so if you aren't, just say it, but have you been able to consistently generate passive income from liquidity providing on a month-to-month basis, or are you not using it?
No, I don't have. So my job prevents me the ability to sit there and watch everything. I'm gone for 24 hours at a time. It would be way too risky for me to do it. But there's a lot more exciting things in PulseX than liquidity providing. There's, I think, a much better profit opportunity in PulseX. Let's get into that. That's the exciting part.
Cool things. Yeah. So what are you most excited about with PulseX?
Are you able to bring up, I put in our chat a Google Sheets document.
This will be fun.
Are you able to pull that up? This is going to be fun. So I have a series on my YouTube that breaks down basically what Pancake Swap does with some changes that are now applied to PulseX. And so while you pull that up, if you can, I'll run through what Pancake Swap does, or the Cake token. So the Cake token is the DAO token, or the incentive token of PulseX, right? Now we have it split up into 2 pieces, where we have our incentive token, which is incentive, and we have PulseX, which is this different DAO token. So Cake has that 2 in 1. We have it broken up into 2. And what's great about having those broken up into 2 is Cake is inflationary as shit, right? It's like 80% inflationary last year, which sucks. That is terrible. PulseX, very deflationary. There's no inflation whatever. And if you look at K4K's videos, he talks about how, hey, if we hit $1 billion a year, we got $300 million of buy and burn yearly. Here we go.
Bullish, bro.
Yeah. Oh, it's insane. So, let's zoom in like 200%.
All right.
So this is the first 2 years price action of Hex, overlaid on a sacrifice value of PulseX. So you can see here where we have these red boxes these little tinted red boxes.
Okay.
You can see just below your cursor there, it says 48% APR to APY. That is a very low number compared to what you've seen historically on Cake. Now, yes, right now, our Cake third-party pools are down at like 9 to like 16%. We're in a bear market, right? The return isn't guaranteed an APY. The return is based on the price of the coin that you're earning.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? So if, let's say, Corey and I make a coin, and it's going to have a 10 billion coin market cap, right? Or not market cap, but number cap. We're going to have a hard cap of 10 billion coins. We want to get some instant action, some instant adoption to our coin and our project. So we're going to take 5% of our coins and we're going to put them available to these PulseX stakers in the third-party pools, right? Well, let's say our coin opens up at 25 cents, right? And I'm the only, or you are the only staker, Dane, in this PulseX third party for the Pulse Dream Corey coin, right? Well, and we're going to set the time limit that we want to hand these coins out. This 5% of our coins, we want to hand that out over 4 months, okay? That's going to show up as a number of blocks. Let's call it 500,000 blocks. It's how many blocks need to tick through to be roughly 4 months. And we can set it maybe at 3 months, we set it at 2 months, whatever it's going to be. And so you're the only staker. Well, you are going to earn, over those 4 months, you are going to earn 5% of our project's coins, okay? Now, our project might go to 0. It might go to $25, right? That would be a 100x compared to where we started, right? That 25 cents. It might do a 2x. It might do a negative 10,000x, right? Whatever. But you're getting free coins. So the APY comes from the amount of money that you put in to that pool and how much the coin is that you're receiving. Math is done. You get a rough APY of what your return should be. So again, like I said, these Cake third-party pools, historically, in a bear market right now, if you go look at them now, they're going to be 9 to maybe 16%. Well, during like a decent market and a bull run, they're more like 25 to 116%.
Right.
Now, that's not life of pool. That's year return, right?
Is that if you're selling the token as soon as you're receiving them? As soon as you receive a third party, you're selling it for USDC? Technically, yeah. So it's based on, right, the money value that you're getting in that third party token. So if you were at the time, exactly. Yeah, so if you hold on to them until the bear market, it's down. Or 10x. You order the pump, right? They can do a 10x, and then now your yield just 10x. But
absolutely.
Just to kind of pinpoint that there. Yeah.
Totally. So you can see under the initial investment, I have PLSX comp, stable comp, PRT bag, right? So my idea is, hey, you should diversify a little bit what you receive back from these third-party staking pools. So PLSX comp, that would be your compounding back into PLSX.
Gotcha.
So you're increasing your stake. Yep.
Are these percentages? So
those are percentages, correct. 60%.
Okay.
30%.
Totally. And then you can see the down at that 48% APR to APY, I have 15.3% technically, right? 0.153.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, that equals roughly 48%. You're a wizard. I don't even know how to do what you just did to turn that into percents, but fantastic. I love it. So you can see weekly, it would be that. And that's our weekly compound, right? But yearly, so that would be our weekly APY, and then our yearly APR would be right. And that'd be what you're compounding back into PRT. So you can see the 10% coming out of the 100% 30% coming out of the 100% for into stable, 60% coming out of that back into your PulseX. So initial investment, right?
And really quick, when you say PRT, because PRT is just a placeholder on test
for third party, so that would be
10%. You're compounding back into whatever is available to stake for in the single side staking pools, right?
No, so I'm taking that 10% and I'll hold that project.
Oh, okay.
So you'll take exactly, a moonbag. So you'll take the Pulse Corey coin, you'll take the Pulse Stream Corey coin, Dane, and you'll hold that because hey, maybe our project does awesome. Maybe it does nothing, so you get rid of 90% of that coin, right? But you're taking 60% of what you receive at the time, and you're going back into PLSX. You're taking 30% of what you receive at the time. You're holding on to stable in case the market dumps.
Dry powder
that makes sense?
bag.
Yep. Dry powder bag, exactly. Yep. So initial investment. This is based on sacrifice ratios right now, right?
And
so
is this dollar value? Or
that's dollar value, correct. That's dollar value. So put that into an interesting number that you like, right? Maybe it's the amount that you did. Maybe it's the amount that a friend did. Maybe it's the amount that you think is reasonable that someone who makes 80 grand a year could do, right? So here we have it at $2,000. So this again is a price overlay of Hex. So this tracks the value of Hex over its first 2 years. So we're kind of following the price action of Hex. This isn't a prediction model on a price. This is what Hex did over the first 2 years. So you can see the month one.
When you say the overlay, so month 1, month 3, month 6, this is appreciation as if PulseX were to appreciate similarly to Hex.
Correct. So this is the exact. I went through and did every 3 months, took what Hex did based on its starting value, and then so I took the sacrifice value times it by 0.73 or whatever it was for month 3. Right. You can click on there. You can see the math up on the line. Right. So that's what Hex did over 3 months. That's what it did over 6 months. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So you can see here.
Really quick here on the formula. So you took F4 times by. So Hex did about a 17x in 6 months. Is that right?
So it did a 17x off of month 3. So month 3 to month 6, it did 17x.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Off of F4.
Cool.
Awesome. So, are you happy with $2,000, or do you want to make it something way bigger or way smaller?
Let's make it a little more interesting. Let's make it 10 grand. How about?
Let's make it 10 grand. So, if you put 10 grand into the start or the sacrifice, and PulseX follows exactly what Hex does, dollar value wise, which again that would be insane, right? But we're thinking it might do pretty well. This follows exactly what your income would be for the 60-30-10, right? That split. So you can see here month 12, with the compounding that you've done of 60% back into your PLSX bag, 30% into your stable bag, and 10% keeping it as PRT, that you have dollar value, just about $7 million of PLSX. For your dry powder bag, from month 9 to month 12, you made $47,000. And of the third-party token, you made $15,800.
And this is without that's without PRT appreciating, right?
Right.
Correct. That is just the value that you made in those 3 months.
Could be a totally different number.
It could be a completely different. It could be way smaller, or if you hold on to that for 5 months and it 10x's, pretty sweet. And if you look down at the bottom, we're going to recompound what we made there, right?
Okay, correct. So this amount here, this 13 million, this is when you say recompound, this is into next month. And then that's how we're getting this data over here. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think? So this is my next question. Then I love spreadsheets. Data like this is really really interesting to be able to actually see what the math could look like. What do you think that PulseX has the potential to perform like Hex, like the Hex chart? Or maybe a better question is, what is the likelihood that it performs like Hex? In your opinion, this is all speculation. Once again, anybody wants no financial advice on this channel. This is all just entertainment.
Yeah, and let me point out as well. So you turned on the dollar, the dollars, right? So when you look down here at PulseX compounded, that's not $15 million. That's 15 million coins because you turned on some dollar thing, right? So don't get confused. You're not making 200 mil this month, right? Yeah, you're making that many coins. Okay. Yeah. I was confused. I was like, wait, where'd that come from?
But these are dollar value. or not?
So the white box is dollar value. The
Okay.
black box is number of coins. So you'd be compounding 7,500,000 coins, not $7,500,000 in 3 months.
Gotcha.
Right?
Nice.
That would be.
Let me update.
Yeah, that'd be a bit much.
I was like, wow, this goes pretty bonkers.
Yeah, it still goes pretty bonkers, but
Oh, absolutely.
there you go. Beautiful. There it is. So you fix that one. Yeah. So you can see this one. You know, you have that 5,292,000 coins, which equals $698.
Got it.
Yeah.
This makes a lot more sense now.
This makes a lot more sense,
Yeah,
doesn't
this
it? Now, it's still bonkers. It's still, I mean, this gets me beyond excited.
I can already see this is going to be bullish as crap.
This is insane. PulseX is insane. This coin is nuts. This is, hands down, I think, the best, let me say this even with Hex considered, the best passive income opportunity in crypto over the next couple years.
I agree with that sentiment 100% as long as we keep the adoption in the system. But what are your thoughts? I'm part of other groups, so I'm part of groups that are very bullish with the Richard Heart ecosystem, and then I get joined in groups just because I want to hear the other narratives.
Yeah.
And there's another group, you know, they're heavy. They were heavy in the RH in the beginning. Now they're kind of against RH. I still love RH, just full disclosure. Mm-hmm. But they talk about how PulseX is never going to make it because the fact that it won't have the V3 at launch, and that other community members will go in there and create Uniswap front ends because whales will want to use V3 via the Uniswap front end, and we kind of saw that with the ETH POW and ETH Fair launch. When that launched, people built the Uniswap front ends to that chain. And I'm just wondering what your insight on that is. I'm hoping RH does end up adding V3, and that's part of the reason why we're waiting, is for we can have a V3 feature in here. Because they're saying, like, basically the sentiment is like, whales want the V3 option, and if they don't get it, they're going to go where they can get it.
Totally.
And
get that.
Although Pancake doesn't have it, and Pancake is doing just fine. So I would love to hear your
Pancake's
thoughts.
doing just fine.
Pancake's
doing just fine. You said it. Yeah, I believe that. And I believe a lot of liquidity providers will go where they can get V3. Now, the license for V3 comes up in March.
It's right around the corner.
Has Pulse Chain or PulseX released yet?
Yep.
Okay, so it's available in March.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it might be, let's say Pulse Chain comes out in February. Guess what? A month later, PulseX has V3, right? We already know we don't know, but we can have no expectations and assume that it's coming.
Right.
Yeah. Dane, can I ruin everything that you're doing really quick?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, just press the undo button a bunch of times and just change the 10,000 thing. So one of the things, for anybody that goes to my videos and tries to pull off these spreadsheets, just change the stuff in the red boxes. Just change the stuff in the red. That's why they're red.
This is like... it says copy in the top. I was like, oh, this isn't your original, but this is your original.
It's not. No. I made a copy because I thought this was going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. I made a copy. So, yes, this is a copy. But, yeah, just go back and then change the 2 to a 10. And go right there. Yeah, let's go there and change the 2 to a 10. There we go.
And we'll just know that the white boxes are dollars.
The white boxes are dollars. Yes, beautiful. The white boxes are dollars. The black boxes, or the bold ones, are the coins. Exactly.
Okay.
Perfect. You got it. You nailed it. So, I mean, just look at if we follow the price action of Hex, which I think is a possibility. It's a possibility. Hex is inflationary. PulseX isn't. It's, in fact, incredibly deflationary. People were insanely bullish on Cake. They were insanely bullish on Cake because of the amount of money that it returned during the bear market. Now, Cake went up to, I think, like $40. It launched at, I think, 3. And it went up 12x to 40. And then the bear market came and smacked it in the mouth, right? But, again, it's 80% inflationary. You can stake Cake for Cake. So, not only is it inflationary, it's a guaranteed 80% to everybody. So if you put in 10 million Cake coins, it goes from 80% inflationary to whatever that's going to be, right? Now, if one person has 1% of the coins in this Cake for Cake pool, yeah, it's going to be 0.8% inflationary, but everybody has their coins in the cake for cake pool right now because it's the only thing that returns 80%. Everything else is at like 12 to 6. So let's go to the end of this. The end of this spreadsheet here and look at these stupid numbers. So month 27. Okay, this would be 11 cent PLSX at 2 years, 3 months. Now you can see I already have up above that all-time high $1, right? That would be our 10,000X on PulseX. A 10,000X on PulseX would be $1 PulseX, which is nutty, right? That would be nutty business.
So this is 1,000X on.
This is 1,000X roughly
on best sack price.
Yeah. So this, if you look down, you can see there's some dark gray stuff down there at the bottom right. I had to kind of leave that in there because I had to add some numbers to get this monthly income number. So at this 11 cent mark, all the way on the right there, you can see our total powder that we have, PRT coin that we have. If we didn't sell or if we didn't buy anything, that's the amount of money that we made over 2 years and a quarter.
If you just kept compounding.
If you just kept compounding, never spent in your dry powder, that's what you have. Your PRT coin, that's what you have. And that's with no appreciation on any of these PRTs or depreciation, right? That's just what you made. And if you look at the monthly income comes from the sum of AE12 plus 58, so your PLSX compound and your third party and the powder. Those ones that you're looking at right there, exactly.
Everything.
If you add that up and divide it by 3, because we're going in 3-month increments here, that number is $1,318,992.51 or 5.1 cents. That's what you're making monthly a month. This is all on a $10,000 buy. That's at 11 cents after 2 years, 3 months. You're making that.
You can
drop
that
a month
off, and it's still disgusting.
Great.
131,000.
You have that exactly. You have that 90% drop from all-time high. Let's say we get to $1 and we drop 90%, like we just did with Hex. Well, I guess we did 95%, right? So let's make that instead of 90%, let's make it 95%. So instead of dropping 84%, which is what we have on there right now, let's go 95. That would be. So let's say we get down to 1 cent. Well, guess what? You're still monthly
All right,
bringing in.
I added another 0 for fun. Let's go back.
Oh.
Go back to our 10,000 example.
So let's say we drop from $1 because we hit that all-time high 10,000X, and we drop to 1.2 cents. We'll look at your monthly income. Who gives a shit?
Still 150 grand.
Yeah. I mean, this is the possibilities here are insane, and this doesn't even include like I don't even know how to figure the buy and burn, right? This is just knowing that we're deflationary. Hex to the 10,000X being inflationary, massively, I think, massively inflationary to the community, not as a total, but it's 30%, right? Mm-hmm. To the community, which is phenomenal, and a lot of people are just gonna live off their interest, which is great.
So check my math really quick because this is still like a 1,000X from best sack price.
Yeah.
Did that math? Because we were at 1,000. We were at 1,000X before. So did changing this to 90% dip? Did that math work? What was the figure before?
You still that's 1,000X.
This was
0.01 is what he was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
0.01 would take us to the 130 grand a month revenue.
Correct.
Or the 0.1 is so you're still right now you're 1.3 million.
Yeah.
Which man.
Yeah. So again, as we go across the spreadsheet, every price action is based on the previous 3 months. So we can delete this, what it says right now, because that monthly income number is still just based off of the equation from our powder PRT and PLSX compound below. We can change that this custom price at 27 months, right? We can change that to anything. Now we'll have to re-put in the math that we got to get this number from the 24 months, because this is 84%. So this is a drop in price from the 2-year mark, right? you can see that its sum equals AA4 times 0.48. So it's a 16% drop from the 3 months prior.
What cell are you talking about? This one right here? Are you talking
That cell, yeah. So you can see the math up there, AA4. So if you look to the left, that's the value that we have in month 24. We're timesing that by 0.84, right? So that's AA4, right?
Gotcha.
So you can also just put in a number that you want, right? So what if we hit 5 cents, right? So I'll do 0.05. I'm changing that myself, right? You can still see on the right side, we dropped to 5 cents from 11 cents. Well, look at the monthly income now. Cool. 500 grand.
It's still bananas.
It's still bananas.
On 10 grand.
Right? On 10 grand.
That's still 50 grand on 1 grand.
Correct. So this spreadsheet that I have here is, again, following the price action at Hex, which is one of the best performing 2-year coins ever.
Right? Oh, ever.
It's insane. Right. It's stupid. Now, there's some shit coins that did a little bit better. Shiba Inu did, 100,000?
Yeah.
Right? And it had some outside meme hype going with it. Hex hasn't at all. But again, nothing has the tokenomics that PLSX does. I can't see. I don't think PLS is going to do as good as PLSX. We know now PLS is inflationary, not massively, but a little bit.
Yeah, for the validators.
For the validators, right?
Validators.
Yeah. And what if
I'm going to be one? So thank God.
if PLS does 100x even, which it should, I would. Right. Within a couple of years. I think on the bear side, within a couple of years, top of the bull market, I think it at least hits 100x. But if you're validating and you're making 6%, 7%,
it'll be more. Ethereum's at 5% right now, and they're anticipating it'll be 3 or 4x
7.
what Ethereum's doing.
Oh, wow! Yeah. I didn't hear the 3 to 4x. That's insane. I think I'm gonna be a validator. Especially especially with the massaging that they're doing of the gas prices, right, to make it more deflationary.
Correct, and plus we don't have, Ethereum has everyone and their mom being a validator. Every single
500,000.
Yeah, 500,000. We're not gonna have no. Over time we might get down to the 10-5% range between 5, but it'll take a little time. It's once again first mover advantage. You want to get it in that first year and just do as much as you can. So.
Yeah. So I've got a number of that was perfect. That's what I was gonna do next. So that's
I can feel it. I can feel it coming from you. We're down to a 10x from launch. 2 years, 3 months in.
Oh, and by being patient, you've made 10 grand, 11 grand a month, almost 12.
You're making 11 grand a month.
Financial advice, but there's no way in hell.
Right.
But you never know. 2 years.
Let's say we're back at launch price. Okay, you're making $1,200 a month. Like this is insane.
So stupid.
And again, let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the front here.
Man, this is great.
Let's go back to the left of the spreadsheet. This is all based on a very reasonable APR that Cake has seen, and that is the low average during an okay market. Now, again, during a terrible market, we're down at like 6%, 6 to 12%.
It shows the power of a consistent compound. Compounding is great in every asset class, no matter what you're doing. And this just shows the power that. Who said that compound is like the 7th wonder of the world? I can't remember who it was. It was like Einstein or somebody.
Compound interest, is the 9th wonder of the world.
7 or 8, I can't remember what.
Yeah, whatever. However many we have is the plus one to that.
Yeah, it's really true. This just shows that power. And then you're thinking compound, and you're coupling it with the mad gains of crypto, and that's like it's just.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer that I think PulseX is just going to be nuts. I think we'll be hundreds of X's deep. I mean, if we tipped over 1,000x, that'd be excellent. But I would be very surprised if we're not 100x plus territory over the next couple of years once it launches, especially heading into the top of the bull. I mean, I have a hard time not seeing hundreds of X's. Once again, I could be wrong. With that being said, in this scenario, why are you keeping any PRT? Like, why wouldn't you just, And yeah, why wouldn't? Because my thought immediately says, well, I'd take that 10% and I'd increase my PulseX comp because I don't think there's going to be much that will outperform PulseX.
Or take the 10% and put it in Pulse.
That's not a bad idea.
That's an option as well. One of the things I talk about in my videos is don't take everything during a bear market that you're making. So if we go back to the right of this spreadsheet, or can I move it, or is that only you that can move it? I guess, yeah. If we go back to the right of this spreadsheet, and we look at the, let's change this number to, let's leave it here, right? So this is, let's say we're bull market, we're up 1,000x, which is great. And we are making, in this case, what is that? Like, that's 1 million, 1.1 million, 1.5. We're making 1.5 mil a month, or every 3 months, right? Fantastic. So we're making 1.5 mil every quarter. Billionaires live off more than that a quarter, right? So let's say not you, but someone in their new money mindset decides, holy shit, I can live off this, right? And they start living off everything. They compound a little bit, but they take that 60% or 90% or all 100% that they make every single quarter, and they're living off that. Well, I'll tell you what, when the bear market comes and punches you in the mouth, and we're down there, and we've gone from making 2 mil a quarter to now 24 grand a quarter.
Very realistic.
That your life is over. If you were living like a billionaire because you were making billionaire money, not having the liquid asset or the true assets of a billionaire, your life's, it's done. You're selling your house, you're selling everything. You probably got to sell all your crypto to get out of the debt that you're going to be in. Your life's really ruined. I mean, this is the same thing that happens to people that win the lotto and they're bankrupt a year later.
We see it in crypto all the time.
We see it all the time. We do. We hear about these stories all the time. Bear market gets people to kill themselves, like horrible, horrible things because they thought they had an amount of money that they didn't have because they didn't have the real world assets to produce that. They had a crypto income, which is bonkers income, that is fleeting. It's literally a year and a half every 4 years. Like, it doesn't stick around. So my suggestion to people is let's say this all happens, right, over the next bull. Let's say this all really happens. This is a lot more money than I make in my job. This is more money than I'll know what to do with ever. I'm going to need people to tell me what to do with my money because I'm not this smart. And I will, if I don't think, ruin my life. So part of the reason that I've made some of these videos is to talk about and reinforce to myself what I should do and give people ideas of what they should do as well. So maybe when we're at the top of the bull market and you're making, let's not even say 1.4 mil, let's say you're making 150 grand a quarter, okay? Maybe save a bunch of that into your dry powder bag, into your PRT bag, and into your compound and recompound, the 60%, save 30% for the dry powder, life emergencies, for family, yourself, whatever, and maybe learn to live off that 10% PRT bag. Learn to live off that. So when we hit the bear market and that 60% and 30% bag now look a lot similar to that 10% bag, we can live off it all.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? And then the next bull, when you've hopefully saved enough dry powder and you thought this was going to go up to, right, 2 Halloweens ago we were supposed to have $2 hex. And then 5 months later, we're supposed to have $150 hex, right? That's what everybody thought, That's what all the streamers were saying. I bought into it. It was my first run, I'm not in that mindset anymore. We all did, right? Yep. Eat some reality pie and realize that's not life, okay? Set aside an amount. So when this dip happens, what if you sold 70% of your hex at 56 cents? Well, guess what? You could buy now. If you just wanted to buy hex again, you'd have
we talk about this a lot in our
30x to your bank. Beautiful. And you should talk about that because it's very real and it's very important, right? People should set aside this dry powder. It does, yeah.
In fact,
you have to.
It's funny because you talk and I find it incredibly frustrating how a lot of these YouTubers that have become big in the hex community, they're like OG hexicans, like everything's great and they're talking shit when things are good. And then now we're in the bear market and they're like, please, can you send some money to me to pay for legal fees? And I'm like, what? Like, what do you screwed this thing up. You screwed this up. And I'm not going to do that this next run, I can promise.
Right. And that's what I want to reinforce, like, to myself especially. That's the big thing. I've not been through a bear market before. This is my first bear market, right? Like I said, I got into this. I really got into crypto on the upswing. That's when I really started getting into it. And I thought the same thing. Like, I was like, holy shit, Hex is going to fucking $150. Mm-hmm. And I have, let's say 150,000 coins. I'm okay. Cool. When I get 10 mil, I'm going to sell it all and I'll be done with life,
Right.
Well, that didn't happen, did it? And I learned a big lesson there, which was a very valuable lesson. I haven't lost money because I haven't sold anything, but I stepped back. I took a real look at what we're doing, and I got a plan. And the plan for me is to take 60% recompound, 30% hold it on the side for a big dip. I have a very comfortable life. I have a good paying job. I'm not quitting my job in the next bull. I'm at least getting through one more bear market to see what that really looks like for my income. Maybe 2 more bear markets. Maybe I'll have $150 million in the bank or in crypto, and I might still be working a freaking job because I don't know what that looks like in a bear market. And I need to be very freaking sure that when that bear market comes, I still have, instead of $1.3 million, I still have $12,000 a month coming in or whatever, and my lifestyle hasn't exceeded that, right? I have a family to take care of. I need to be smart. I suggest that, and I beg everybody to do that too. Live off that 10% PRT bag when it becomes a number like this. I mean, really, you're looking at $396,000 every 3 months. If your life goes from making 80 grand, 150 grand, 200 grand to exceeding that, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. And not because you didn't earn it, you earned it, but you also spent it all. Because literally 3 months later, it's going away. Because this is going to take 2 years to build up. This is going to take 3 years to build up. You're going to have to go through a bull and a bear before any of this becomes comfortable, I think. Really. You really are. And people got to be smart.
I mean, and it also depends a lot on how much you're able to put in. This is 10 grand, a lot of people could put in totally. More.
Yeah.
So
some people put in less.
Some people put in less.
Some people put in less. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a great point. With that being said, I will be taking profits at or near the top so that I could not be forced to live on a 10% PRT. But I like the thought process of being conservative. And time again, we're real estate guys. We come from the real estate industry, and frankly, we're seeing it now. Everybody was balling with the real estate market, having carried anybody that was in it and doing halfway decent. And you felt like a genius. I'll admit it, I felt like a freaking genius. And I loved the money rolling in and it just being all peachy. But gosh, the market turned last year and you're seeing the pain. And I would argue that the real estate market hasn't even seen real pain yet that's coming this year.
Coming.
I think it's coming. And it's so important to be conservative and to be building when it's time to build and take profits when it's time to take profits.
Yeah.
Playing the market cycles, man, that is so important. I mean, that's all Warren Buffett does, and it's all he has ever done. Is he buys low, sells high every single cycle. He buys when people are fearful and sells when they're greedy, and he just rinses and repeats, and that's all he's done his whole entire life. That's it.
Right.
And we could do that in a much quicker time span with crypto, because crypto is 4-year cycles typically. It may change in the future, who knows? But history tends to rhyme, right? It never repeats it, but it rhymes is what they say. So we will probably continue to see quicker cycles with crypto versus stock market and definitely the real estate market. And so we just have there's more opportunity to get in and get out and take those profits, in my opinion. So playing this game all while you're doing it too. You're playing this game all the way up, but then when you're in that top area range, take your profits, let the market ride all the way down. And to your point, Paul Stream, if they had done that with Hex, you could buy in like maybe 10, 20, or 30 times the T shares at that moment, and then play the game again, all the way back up again, and just rinse and repeat, man. I know it's it's easier said than done. I know that, and that's why DCA is so powerful. That's why it's controlling your emotions is so powerful. There's a lot of underlying things that go into this than just speaking it into existence. But yeah, this is amazing, man. I love this.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
This is going to make PulseX so much fun.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a few narratives, because I think these are hilarious. Have you guys seen the narrative on Twitter where people are like, where do you think everyone's going to roll their profits in once Pulse Chain and PulseX appreciate? Well, they're all going to roll it back into Hex. Well, I can tell you this, if I'm getting this type of cash flow, nothing's going back into Hex for me. Nothing.
Yeah.
Because you can't get this cash flow anywhere.
My money goes where it's best treated. And if I'm making these kind of gains in PulseX, why am I not just going all in on PulseX?
Yeah.
Right.
And and I'm not a Hex OG again. I came in just before 2 years, probably. Yeah, 1 year, 8 months in, whatever it was. I didn't miss Hex. I missed a lot of Hex, right? Like, that's one of the things I tell people. Like, I didn't miss Hex. You haven't missed Hex. What if it does another 1,000X? Great.
Yeah,
but guess what? I missed a lot of Hex. And there's newer, shinier new toys that are going to do better in the meantime. And they're from Richard Hart. At least these ones that we're talking about, right? And that's huge, right? The new thing narrative is massive. Real deflationary coins that have a founder who's so viral like ours is, it's huge.
Huge.
And I almost can guarantee you that PulseX is going to do a lot better than Hex. Not financial advice, but I would put a lot on it. I would put a lot on it. And I have put a lot on it. It's going to do a lot better.
Yeah. You said that. You're making a large wager on PulseX outperforming Hex. Yeah. And I believe it, man. I believe it 100%. So it's going to be fun to watch. And this has been amazing. Like I said, it shows the true power of compound.
Oh, wrong thing. So we have Tyrannosaurus Hex. He was commenting on the when we were talking about single-sided liquidity. It's a better way to be able to get out of your positions without wrecking the price. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got Doug on. What's up, Doug? Good morning. It's good to see you, man. He's shouting out Tin Top. And then Simon. Appreciate you jumping on, Simon. Simon's been one of our more recent guys that's on almost every morning. So what a time to be alive. It is pretty nuts. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about what would you recommend? And once again, guys, no financial advice. We're just here for entertainment, educational purposes. What would you recommend for people? There's a lot of people that miss the Pulse Chain and the PulseX sacrifices at this point. They're learning about Richard Hart. They're excited about the ecosystem. What do they do with their, or what should, if you were that person and you had capital to inject in the system with what you know now, what would you do?
I would DCA properly, which means not everything comes out day one and goes into PulseX, Pulse Chain. I would DCA over time. Now we're gonna have, I think, a bit of a crunch time compared to typically, because we're probably gonna get this somewhere in the bull market upswing, maybe just before the bull market upswing. So you need to consider that as well, right? There's a very good possibility that this comes out, bull market's either going or the upswing really starts in a month, and we quickly see some stupid price increase, right?
Right.
So decide how much money you're willing to risk, because this is a risk. This is, at the end, this is just better than gambling. I think it's a bit smarter, I think, but this is crypto. Like, it's just better than gambling. What if the project frickin' rugs? This is probably like the least likely project to rug, I think, in crypto. But at least that's coming out new and has some hype. But DCA, do what's comfortable. Don't go sell your house for the sacrifice or to get in. Don't take a loan out against your house. Don't sell your car. Get a job if you don't have one. Keep working, and DCA over the first couple years. If you're here to retire within a year, you're probably going to wreck yourself because it's probably not going to happen. The sacrificers, it might happen. But, have this be a long-term plan. Anyone here didn't expect to retire before they were 53 to 65 anyway. Be smart. Don't consider this as your escape rope tied to a helicopter to change your life completely, because you will lose everything, I think. And it's because you're going to buy the top. You're not going to have money for the downswing. There's going to be another bear market. Let's say this goes up to $1. Well, guess what? It's probably come back to 1 cent to 10 cents. There's cycles to this thing. They're very real. You know when they are. Really, 4.5 to 5 years apart is our tops and our bottoms. 2.5 or 1.5 to 2 years is how long our little sideways before the bull market starts taking off again. Every single time, right? So far, history doesn't repeat; it rhymes. Maybe it goes to 6 and 3 years. I don't know.
Who knows? Right.
Crypto's going to become more mature of an asset, so it's probably going to start lengthening out a little bit. I feel like that's expected.
Not being as volatile.
Volatile, right? You're going to see that with Hex as well, I think. We're going to start to even out. We're still going to go up a lot probably, but we're still probably going to come down, probably not quite as much. Is another 10,000X in the works for Hex? Maybe. But be smart, don't get emotional. DC over time, have a plan, $100 a month, $100 a week. $500 a week, whatever you can afford. That's your play money. Maybe don't go on your $20,000 vacation this next year and decide to, as John Maxwell says, pay now, play later. Big fan of that as well. Just have a plan and execute, right? Have a plan, be realistic, and know what, have that plan. I think that's the big thing that people don't have is a plan.
Yes.
They just react emotionally and do stupid things.
Agreed.
I've done that a lot.
Yes,
we all have.
Yeah.
What does a DCA strategy look like if somebody's got? Let's stick with our example. They've got 10 grand that they're comfortable putting at risk, and they're going to put into. Let's stick with PulseX since that's what we've been talking about. They're going to go into PulseX. What does a responsible DCA strategy look like? What's a time frame? How much would someone put in at the beginning? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I
would say in general, maybe consider doing over a year. And when we have healthy dips, increase the amount that typically goes in. While we have green candles, put in less. While we have red candles, put in a little bit more.
There you go.
Now, let's say the typical market cycle, the bull run should be 5 months from now. It starts to get a little interesting. Right? Yeah. Maybe you reconsider and you need to decide whether you're going to get that 10 grand in over 5 months.
Right.
That's when we start getting emotional, right? Because we know the bull run's coming. We know we want to catch it. It gets a little more interesting, right? It's a little more scary. It's a little more, everything's a little heightened at that point. I have no good answer. But, buy the red. When there's blood in the streets, scoop it up. When everybody's yelling about $150 PulseX, maybe consider selling a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, play the cycles, know the cycles. Again, I just gave them to you every 4 to 4.5 years. Go look at the Bitcoin chart. Literally within 3 to 5 months of that 4 to 4.5 year range, it's the top every time.
Right.
Next again, guess what?
It should be roughly end of 2025, beginning of 2026, roughly speaking.
Next bottom, before we start upswing, it should be in the next 6 to 8 months. Already know that, right? We can see it in the history, and it rhymes, right? Maybe it's a year from now. Maybe it's 2024, beginning of 2024 it happens, but it rhymes. It's sometime around that time. Yep. And again, we have a weird macro environment going on right now as well, so that might prolong everything too.
Right.
So,
prolong it, but it won't last forever either. It won't last forever. I mean, the average bear markets in the S&P 500 range from anywhere from 6 months up to 36 months.
Yep.
We're about 15 months in now, so it's like it will come to an end also, just like everything else, and then it will have its own day of glory. The S&P, of pumping again and green candles. So it's
yeah.
Absolutely.
And in 2024, I like to touch on this every single time. And 24 is also the presidential election.
Ooh,
you have presidential election. You probably have a pivot coming. Who knows, before or after? I don't know. in the economy, and then you got Bitcoin halving all in 24.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I like it.
Speculate for us when do you think Pulse Chain launches? Give us a rough idea. This is a fun topic.
When Pulse? So I could realistically see V3 in the next 1 to 2 months.
That's what I think.
If we don't have V3 by mid-March, I might be upset. Just because I'd like to see it. And like the updates we've seen are pretty solid. I mean, we have a working block explorer.
Yes.
The stuff that Katie's been putting out, she's kind of on the inside because she's with the dev team.
That we're forking now. We have, proof of the clients for the validator.
V3 seems very close.
Right. 10-second blocks versus 12-second blocks.
Yeah.
Epochs are shorter. It's they're building a better chain.
Yeah. So that's awesome, right? And if V3 goes pretty smooth, I could see 2 months after V3. Maybe.
Okay.
We might see a July, August Pulse Chain.
I like it.
I'll say September to be. If we get 2023, I'll just say September on the. That'll be my conservative. If we don't get it 2023, I would say May next year, and 2 weeks later.
Mid-May.
Mid-May next year. Yeah.
Mid-May.
Yeah. Maybe we get mid-May V3. I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. We've got Doug on. In fact, this is probably a good place to end. So Doug missed all the sacks. He's been DCAing since day 945. Nice, Doug. I like it.
Nice, man.
He says, and this is something that I would disagree on, and I think Corey as well. We love your insights on it. So there's this narrative in Hex that everyone's like, oh, stake everything and stake it forever. And we've seen where that left the guys that did that this last bull run. That left them with paper gains, but no real monetary value to be able to extract. And so, what are your thoughts on Hex before Pulse Chain comes out?
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts.
I think Richard did a great thing, allowing people potentially great thing, right? We'll see in 15 years where Hex is at. I hope it's around. I hope crypto's still around in 15 years, right? He did something I do think truly is incredible for a lot of people, and it's allowing them to not. Can I swear on here? I've already sworn a few times, but
sure, as long as you're good
out.
Not touch their effing money with their greedy effing hands, right?
Right.
People that would have fudded themselves out quick, we hit 1/10 of a cent. Oh, I gotta get out, right? 100x or whatever it was, He did something that allows people with poor impulse control to save themselves, and that is fantastic. I think that's great. The income that you can generate from staking Hex also has the opportunity to be amazing, especially if you can not touch your principal. I didn't get in on Hex in the first year and a half. I don't have the amount of money to buy 5, 6, 7, 18 million Hex and stake it out in a huge ladder, crazy like. And guess what? If I had kept everything that I got at 11 cents and sold near the top, and bought again now, I'd have 5 to 10x the amount of Hex I had. And guess what? Then I would have 10 million Hex to make my crazy ladder, right? Or whatever. I also think you have to consider the gas cost of unstaking a 15-year Hex stake. What do they say it's going to be? It's supposed to be like a 3 ETH?
Assuming, though, if Ethereum doesn't get their act together and sharding doesn't happen.
Correct.
And since I've been doing my validator research, I've been researching Ethereum very on a deep level, going through the Ethereum Foundation. Sharding is coming. And in 15 years, I believe the opposite of that narrative. I believe in 15 years we will have cheap unstaking fees. It is my belief to that, but I could be wrong. But,
that's fantastic. Yeah,
and
I hope so. But so let's take a look at the people that have sold at the top, right? Well, they sold at 50 to 56 cents. And if your plan was to get back into Hex and just hold all of that until we hit 2 cents, 5 cents, whatever, you're up 10x on what you had and what you sold. So I think staking's a great design. It helps the vast majority of people. I think it's good for the vast majority of people. There's also in this thing cycles, which we've touched on. You know, when we start talking about $180 to $5,000 hex, start selling, right? People are getting too damn excited, and it's time to pull some profit. And you should pull some profit. We're all in crypto for the tech. Just kidding. We're all here for money. And guess what? You have a life. You have a family. You might have kids. Why don't you take care of them instead of living this fantasy dream?
That's why inside our community, we don't really preach the 15-year staking or 15-year staking ladder. We actually preach market cycle stakes. Like, I like the idea of a market cycle stake, and I just did one. I've been DCing and Hex for the last couple of months, and I staked it out to the beginning at 25. I'm like, man, that's going to come out. I don't care if I'm at the top. I just need to be somewhere in the area, whatever.
Somewhere in here.
Yeah, I'll pull that out. I'm going to sell all of it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm selling all that. I'll probably do it through a liquidity position. I'm not gonna dump on the community's head. I'll do it through an LP position because I educate myself on a responsible way to exit my position. So I won't be dumping on the head like the guy yesterday. That was crazy. Yeah.
And you're gonna provide some resistance for the community too. It's gonna be harder to dump.
Right. And I'll provide liquidity. I'll exit out of my position, out of that stake. And then I'll pull my USDC. I've taken profits. Guess what? Next bear market, I'm buying back in again. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stake it back out again to the next bull run. And I'm going to have a rolling market cycle stake.
I love that. I love the idea of a rolling market cycle stake. I love the idea of a 5 to 6 year ladder even.
I do too. I like a market cycle ladder. Maybe every 6 months over the course of a year and a half, you have your stakes coming out. You don't know when the top is, but maybe one of those come out right at the top.
One of them's going to be near it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Now, I mean, all my stakes are 11 plus years, right?
Well, when I first got into
which might be great.
Narrative, I have a whole bunch of large way out in the future stakes. Yeah. So,
but that's also going to be fantastic. Think about that, right? In 11 plus years, the amount of money that's coming out, if this system's still around, like, that's amazing. Like, that opportunity is incredible.
The longer you go out, the more risk you're putting on the plate, right? It's
totally.
But yeah, man.
I'm personally a lot more interested in having liquidity for Pulse Chain and PulseX. I think that the Hex copies will be great, and that's all good and well. But man, like, I think that's a narrative that if I was trying to get everybody to pump the Hex price and I was more interested in liquidity and getting larger Pulse Chain and PulseX bags, I would tell everybody to buy Hex for a free copy. That's what I would do. And I would benefit myself from it. And so I would say, in my opinion, be really careful with that narrative of staking everything for a free copy. I personally am a lot more interested in liquidity to be able to build my Pulse Chain and PulseX bags. Not demand advice, just my opinion.
Especially if you don't have a Pulse Chain or PulseX bag that you're comfortable or happy with. If you're really trying to get those bags, I'm in my opinion, I don't think Hex is the way to get those bags. Some people are saying buy Hex for the copy and then you can use that to swap. That's not going to be the way to get those bags. The way to get those bags, if you really want to play the game, you could play buy the rumor, sell the news. You buy a bunch of Hex for on a slow, and before launch, you front run everybody and sell it. I guarantee we're going to see Wells doing this. It's guaranteed.
They don't need to hold on to it. They got the money. They don't need
you're going to see this buy the rumor, sell the news. It's going to pump so hard, right? And you could participate in that wave, and then use that economic energy, bridge it over the bridge, and buy Pulse Chain and PulseX.
Yeah.
So I mean, that is one play. That's kind of a bit of a DGen play. I get it, and we're not. That's kind of a trader mentality. Yeah. I get it, but you're going to see Wells doing this.
Absolutely.
Massive amounts of money doing it.
I think another very good option, especially when we were down at like 1.7 cents, right? I mean, 17 grand was a million Hex. Some people, I guarantee you, put in 17 grand to get a million Hex, 2 million Hex, 3 million Hex, whatever it was.
Sure.
2-3 months after the bridge opens, and we're looking at Hex on ETH and Pulse fluctuating within 5%, 2% of the price because it's a constant arb between the two. Let's talk about V3 liquidity at that point.
Talk about a cool LP pool, yeah.
Talk about a cool LP pool that you're going to stay in the range most likely for nearly ever of that 5, maybe 10%, right? And you're just picking up fees. Now, it's not going to be probably the most highly traded pair, but there's a constant ARB there. There's a constant ARB that ARB bots are going to be playing there for a long time, especially with gas prices on Pulse being, I don't know, 1/100th of a penny.
And that's that part.
How much money can an ARB bot make with gas prices of 1/100th of a penny? Are you kidding? Now that's a very interesting LP pool that I'm going to definitely look at like assets that are cross-chain and being used on both sides. Now, if you come to a project that's dead on arrival on Pulse, yeah, that's going to disappear and go to nothing. But something like Hex, like eHex, pHex, a pair like that, that might be crazy. And then you think about like ratio trading as well. Like, let's say you only got in on the PulseX sacrifice or only got in on the Pulse Chain sacrifice because you didn't expect something like PulseX, so you went all in on the Pulse Chain sacrifice. Well, I think a lot of people sacrifice the PulseX in a makeup mentality for Pulse Chain, right? I think we're going to see not only a lot of people dumping their Hex for Pulse Chain, PulseX, which, like you said, makes holding Hex with the idea of getting Pulse or PulseX a terrible idea because those liquidity pools are going to be pretty freaking thin, pretty freaking quick. Yeah, I haven't talked about that much, but since you brought it up, yeah, if we see like, I don't know, 100, if we see anywhere near, what was the number? I have this all written down on a spreadsheet somewhere, but it's anywhere near like, I think it's like 100-1 Pulse for Hex. I mean, or I think it's like 28-1 Pulse to Hex. It's some number, but you're up 100x on Hex, right there. You know, and if you make that change, you're turning like $6,000, which right now is 300,000 Hex. You're turning that into like 15 million Hex.
Right. County is very interested in that ratio trade.
Yeah. And the other one is Pulse trading into PulseX. If Pulse to PulseX hits like a 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, which I think is possible, I might dump 80% of my Pulse bags for more PulseX.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if we're talking being able to change, like let's say I sacrifice 10 grand, if we're able to, if I'm able to change a 10 grand sacrifice on one side to a 70 grand, 80 grand sacrifice for the other, yeah, I'm out. You know, that's literally a 7x sacrifice compared on the PulseX side, which I've already stated, in my opinion, is the better play anyway, long term. Right? People say like, oh, we've never seen a DEX coin out compete a layer 1. We've never seen a DEX coin deflationary and launch at the same time.
There you go.
Right. I agree.
Like, stop it with that narrative. Like, we've never seen this, period. This is gonna be a first on so many levels. We've never seen a DEX coin that's deflationary from the start, that has returns like Cake sometimes does, right? That has the utility of something like Cake. We see Uniswap does nothing. It's a DAO, right? You got some voting stuff you can do if you have a bunch of it, but it does nothing. There's no return on there whatsoever. Cake's, I think, the best game or tokenomics one with horrible tokenomics, and Richard's literally taken that and made it excellent. So yeah, I mean, look for those ratio trades as well. A lot of people are going to kill themselves with ratio trades. Know what the ratios are going into these things. There's a great, easy way to find out what the ratios should be right now. Let's say Pulse Chain launches tomorrow. There's a very easy way to figure out what these ratios should be. If we pull up Uniswap, and if you pull up Uniswap and you type in 1.2 million Hex versus ETH, that tells you right now, because we already know that Ethereum is going to be roughly inflated 1.2 million times.
Yep.
That tells you right there what right now the ratio between Hex and PLS is. It's 18.3. That is what a good ratio for Hex to PLS should be right now. Mm-hmm. There you go. Ratio trading solved. Finished. Done. Guess what? Everything is going from ETH to that side, ETH to coin, to PLS to coin. Put in 1.2 million of coin versus ETH on Uniswap, and you'll see what the ratio should be. Ratio trading solved. You're welcome. I don't think anybody's ever said that before. It's so simple. Like, know what these ratios should be on launch, look at them on Uniswap, figure out if it's a good deal, right? If you go to Uniswap and you see 180 PLS for a hex, or 180 hex for a PLS when it should be 18 hex for a PLS. 18 PLS for a hex, and you see it should be 18 PLS for a hex, and you see 1.8 PLS for a hex. Maybe consider doing that trade if you're looking for a lot of hex, right? Or if you see, like we were saying, the 7 PLSX for a PLS, consider your sacrifice money being better spent at an instant 7x on the other side. Because I do think that these will get somewhat close, and I do think over time we'll see PLSX kind of continue to go up. Because, again, the income possibilities are stupid.
Oh, it's enormous. It's huge. Cool, man. Well, that was great. I think that's a good place to end, unless you guys have some burning things that you want to say. PulseX Dream, go ahead and shout yourself out. How do people find you? Is there anything you want to shill?
So my plan is over the launch of PLS for 1, maybe 2 years to have a series on my YouTube following what a $1,000, $1,000 to $2,000 market buy at a decent time in the launch of PLSX could have done for you if you did it at the same time I did. We see all these videos and all these series of, what if you put $10,000 into Bitcoin at 10 cents? How much money would you have now? Nobody's ever done like a read along, play along, do it with me at the same time thing. So that's kind of the goal. Part of this is to keep me responsible and not dump my bags, and the other part is to hopefully encourage other people to do the same thing. And to encourage people to, hey, do it with me. You know, I'm doing $2,000, maybe you do $200, maybe do $20,000. But let's do this together, right? And I have a plan. Follow what I'm doing if you want, and get out whenever you want to.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, and that's the idea, right? I don't care about monetizing it. It's just, let's just do this together. It's a fun experiment. No one's ever done it before. Let's see what it looks like. And hopefully I can keep it up for a year. I don't know. I might go nuts and not want to do it after 6 months. We'll see. I plan on doing like a bi-weekly 5-minute uncut video. So it should be very low, pretty low effort, but also not tax me on my free time, which is great. So you can find me on YouTube. Just look at Pulse Dream. That's the YouTube channel. And then also on Twitter at PulseX Dream, how it is here, at PulseX Dream. That's all I got. You know,
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you jumping on.
I do want to point this out before we
Yeah, go ahead,
hop off. Jeremy did say he loved what Alex did with HSI stakes, and he does got a good point with this. If you're wanting some more optionalities with your hex staking, HSI stakes are the way to go. I have HSI stakes. I love them just because of the optionalities I have. I could sell them on OpenSea. I could turn them to Icosa. I love Icosa. And so if I were to do they are HSI stakes, my 5555 stakes. But if I were to ever do any more stakes longer than a market cycle, like we were talking about, I would definitely do them in HSI. So just my 2 cents on that. So that way I have those options.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate you guys jumping in. It's nice to see some of you new guys. Once again, like and subscribe. And also PulseX Dream, we have just an insane community that we're building with real estate investors and other entrepreneurs. So we have the right people in place when it's time to take profit at the end of the next cycle. We have the places to be able to put that money during that year and a half that crypto falls, to be able to diversify, do some different things there. Beautiful. So if you think something like that might be useful to you or anybody else that's watching, feel free to shoot us a message. We'd love to plug you in if it's a fit. So appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man. Exciting. This was an awesome stream. So
cool. See you guys.